Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Sonic playthrough. But not just any Sonic playthrough, we're going back to the beginning, back to where this all began. Folks, welcome to Sonic the Hedgehog. Originally released for the Sega Genesis back in 1991, and boy, this game's over 20 years old. Let's see, 22? It could be 23 by the time this is released. Who knows? The point is, this game is old, but it's still enjoyable in its own way, you know? And this is back before all the complicated plots, all the darkness, all the character developments here, there, and everywhere. It's just a simple time, you know? Going from one point to another, saving animals that are inside these robots. And, yeah. And because this is the first Sonic game, there's some things that won't exactly, well, that may turn off a player who has gone into the series at a later point. But, again, this game has its own charm, has its own enjoyment, as well, you'll see. Alright, so what is the plot of this game, you may ask? Well, I have here in my hand the actual manual, well, the American manual, and let me read it right quick. Get it right here. Here we are. The English story. Here we are. Dr. Ivo Robotnik, the mad scientist, is snatching innocent animals and turning them into evil robots. Only one tough dude can put an end to the demented scientist's fiendish scheme. It's Sonic, the real cool hedgehog with the spiked haircut and power sneakers that give him super speed. Help Sonic fight hordes of metal maniacs and do the loop with the supersonic spin attack. Speed down twisting tunnels and swing over dangerous booby traps. Leap across lava pits and dodge burning rocks. Then splash through the chilling waters in an underground cavern. And if you're lucky, you can warp to the secret zone where you can spin around a floating maze. Your greatest challenge lurks in a secret lab where you come face to face with Dr. Robotnik himself. Spin through space, loop until you're dizzy, save the animals and become the superhero. Be Sonic, be atomic. Ah, so 90s. Yeah, basically the long and short of it is Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik has come to South Island and snatching up little animals to put in his robots so he can take over the world, I guess. And only one person can stop him, Sonic the Hedgehog himself. So, yeah. Alright. So, again, this game is the very first game in the series, which means there are going to be a lot of weird things going on. Well, first of all, since I am playing the original Genesis version, this means that Sonic has no spin dash. You know how in future games, Sonic, you can have Sonic stand still, charge him up into a ball, and have him go to move at supersonic speeds? Well, it's not in this game. Nope. The only way you can gain speed is you use the actual terrain as momentum. Physics? In a Sonic game? What sort of madness is this? Yeah. And we have special zones, like this one right here. Basically, when you get 50 rings in a stage, and you maintain these 50 rings, at least in Acts 1 and Act 2, at the end where you see the goalpost and you spin the sign, you have to quickly get into a giant ring. And yeah, when I say quickly get into a giant ring, I mean the game will force Sonic to move onward if you don't enter the giant ring in time. And if you successfully enter the giant ring, you are automatically transported to this special stage, which I will explain more, well, when I reach it the next time. I mean, the special stages are, well, complicated, as it were. I mean, you have to really understand them, you know? So, yeah. Anyway, we have our first zone right here, Green Hill. And it's pretty much your standard tutorial of how to, understand Sonic's control mechanisms, you know? How he moves and such. And the enemies and how you hit them and stuff. It also introduces you to springs, signposts like this one right here. These are checkpoints right here. So if you lose a life here, well, you start off at the signpost and not at the beginning. And then there are these red springs around here that can occasionally troll you, sending you backwards instead of forwards, you know? But you can easily jump over them if you know where they are. It's all about the timing, folks. It's all about timing. I mean, you can breeze through these stages quickly. Well, especially this one right here. But trust me, folks, later stages will be a bit more, difficult. Alright. Now, every third act, we have a boss fight. Against good old Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik himself. In fact, we're about to come up to him right now. And this is a good old ball and chain, so yeah, all we have to do is just navigate between these two platforms, make sure you don't get hit by this ball and chain, and I failed to do so in this boss fight, so yeah. I mean, as long as you have rings on hand, you won't really die. I mean, one ring should be more than enough. Well, because if you get hit and you have no rings, you die. I mean, it's a staple of the Sonic game since, well, this game. Because, yeah. And, of course, after you defeat a good old Eggman and he retreats, we destroy one of these capsules to free the little animal critters that he's captured. And, yeah. So, less robot army for you, Eggman. And now we have Marble Zone. And Marble Zone is a bit of a, well, if you're expecting more speed, well, you're going to be disappointed with this level because, well, there's going to be a lot of platformings, a lot of jumps, a lot of timing issues, and yeah, this place isn't exactly made for speed. I mean, certain areas are, but you're going to be waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm just going to warn you right now. And for the first few zones right here, I'm going to be careful not to get hit a lot because, again, I need to get 50 rings in order to reach the special stages. And I want to get all the Chaos Emeralds early on because, well, it'll just make my time through the rest of the game much easier, you know? Not having to worry about gathering the plot MacGuffins, you know? And yes, I mean, it's a slight difference in ending depending on if you get all the Chaos Emeralds. And folks, spoilers, I will get all the Chaos Emeralds in this game. Alright, we got all these Badniks here. We have, there's a different variety of Badniks throughout this game that are powered by the animals. We have these bats here called Bat Brains. And in Green Hill Zone, we have the stuff like Moto Bugs, Buzz Bombers, and all sorts of gimmicky things. And here we also have the Caterkillers, which are pretty difficult to kill. I mean, seriously. I mean, the best way you can kill these things is to actually roll into them. Like get enough speed, press it down, and roll into a ball so that you can actually hit them. Yeah. Again, folks, this area here is not really made for speed. You just need to do some careful platforming. And yeah, Sonic's been slowing down like this since this game. Yeah, it's not... You think Sonic's all about speed? Well, in future games, he's further defined by his speed, but as of this first game, well, it's all about being careful, cautious, and platforming. That's the name of the game. I can't talk. Ugh. Okay, I was trying to be careful. Again, I don't want to lose all my rings. I mean, I have a shield, which should help tremendously. See? If I didn't have the shield, I would have lost my rings right there, and the giant ring would not have appeared right there, too. So, yeah. And for some reason, at the goalpost area, if you jump in certain locations, you can get some points to appear. I don't know why. Who cares? Anyway, let me go ahead and explain the special stages a little bit more, okay? Basically, you are in a rotating area, and you have to navigate Sonic through this labyrinth maze to the area with the Chaos Emeralds. Now, there are certain circles that do certain things. If you hit the circle with the R on it, that changes the direction of the rotation. If you hit the up or down circle, well, you can change how fast the area is rotating, which can be good or bad depending on how you look at it. There are these bumpers that can really screw around with Sonic. And there are these flashing goals right there, like that one right there. Do not touch them at all costs. If you do touch them, you will be warped to the... You're basically going to lose the special stage if you touch those things. You'll be ejected out of this place. So avoid those at all costs. I'm just saying. Alright. Of course, you can collect rings here, and if you collect enough rings, you get a sound, meaning you gotta continue. And, yeah. Continues in this game are good. They're pretty useful. Let's say you lose all your lives in a zone, you get a game over. When you use a continue, well, you start from that very zone without having to start the game all over, which is actually fantastic. So, there's that. Alright. Now, I do like that in the special zones there are no enemies or dangerous hazards. I mean, if you consider the goal areas hazards, then yeah. Alright. Again, if this is looking a bit slow, then again, this is the first outing for Sonic, and he wouldn't be really... like his speed, his trademark speed that we're all used to, wouldn't be really fleshed out until Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So, yeah. Let's see here. Since this is the very first Sonic game, I might as well go into a little bit of history about how Sonic somewhat came to be, as it were. Alright? Guess you can say it all began like with the revival of the home console marketing thanks to the NES, and Sega got involved with the Sega Master System. And Sega originally had a mascot by the name of Alex Kidd. So, yeah, I haven't heard of him either until I looked up the information through a wiki. Excuse me. So, yeah, sometime later, the Sega Genesis was released, and Sega wanted a new mascot, you know? Something to replace Alex Kidd, something to actually compete against Mario. So they came up with some ideas, including an armadillo, which became Mighty the Armadillo, and a Theodore Roosevelt-like person, which ultimately became the basis for Dr. Robotnik / Eggman. And then, finally, they settled on a spiky teal hedgehog, initially codenamed, quote-unquote, Mr. Needlemouse. And then they made some adjustments, adding some blue pigmentation, and putting red and white shoes, and bada bing, bada bang, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah. Now, believe it or not, Sonic the Hedgehog actually appeared before his initial game. It's a game called Rad Mobile. And Rad Mobile is an arcade game that's one of those first-person driving games. And Sonic the Hedgehog appeared as an air freshener. Yeah, he was an air freshener in a car. Yeah. Interesting history indeed. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, one of the cool things about this, like this section right here, is if you continue to hit these blocks right here, you can continue to stack up some points. And not that points really matter. Well, actually they do matter in certain cases, because if you collect enough points, you are rewarded with continues. And continues are always fantastic. And if you manage to collect 100 rings, you are rewarded with an extra life. Now we have these television monitors that are spread out here, there, everywhere. They can be, if Sonic destroys one of them, he can have access to certain things. Destroying one with the ring, he will get access to 10 rings. If you destroy one with a shield, he can get, well, a shield. And if you hit the sparkly starry one, he can gain some invincibility. And as you just saw there, he can actually walk in lava. Something that Mario cannot do in lava. Eat that, Mario. You know the phrase, Sega does what Nintendo don't. Yeah, so yeah, back to these special stages right here, since, well, we're doing this again. Now, to be fair, I've always had a bit of trouble with these special stages, especially with the whole rotating thing and the whole navigating through the, well, maze and trying to not hit those goal posts because again, if you touch one of the goal things, you're done. You are out. You're out. And the only way you can come back to the same special stage is to, well, collect 50 more rings after you go through a quote-unquote cycle. And, yeah, it can be a bit tedious. I mean, it is possible to get done, like if you screw it up, to get some, have another chance at it later on, but, as you go further and further into the game, the chances of you actually repeating certain special stages diminish. And there will be a point where you can no longer get access to special stages. So, yeah, it's best to try and get these Chaos Emeralds as soon as you can because, well, it'll save you less headache later on, trust me. Especially during certain levels, you know? Anyway, when you finally get to the area where the Chaos Emerald is, you're relatively safe. I mean, there are still areas you can accidentally hit the goal and the special stage. So, bleh. Anyway, what you have to do is make sure that you degrade the barrier surrounding the Chaos Emerald by just hitting it. It'll go from red to yellow to green. No, wait. No, it's from blue to green to yellow to red. Yeah, that was it. Sorry. A little fuzzy right there, and I'm watching the thing too. Boy, that's sad. The point is, you need to degrade that whole barrier surrounding it. Well, at least puncture a hole big enough so that Sonic can actually get in. And then once Sonic can get in properly, well, he can grab the Chaos Emerald and get out of there. So yeah. Now, for Act 3 of Marble Zone, you can go a couple of multiple pathways, at least in the beginning. I mean, they'll eventually meet up. I mean, the only purpose of these multiple pathways is, well, you get certain items. I believe the pathway over there yields a reward of a shield, and one pathway yields a reward of a television monitor with 10 rings. Yeah, like that one right here. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else I can say about this place. I mean, I know it's going to be a bit slow because of the whole, well, waiting. You have to have Sonic on these platforms, these moving platforms, moving across lava. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog. Doing what he does best. Waiting. Thankfully, though, it's not that bad. The next, couple of areas, like the next zone, for example, will be a bit faster. But then the next zone afterwards, oh boy, the next level. Oh, I cannot wait for that one. But that won't be until the next video because, well, yeah. Alright. Just gotta navigate my way through here. Try not to get hit, try not to die. Even though I shouldn't worry too much because, well, we don't get access to a big ring. This is Act 3, which means we have a boss fight at the end of this, well, level. Alright. Now, this game, for being over 20 years old, has a fantastic soundtrack. I mean, there are a lot of memorable musical pieces in this game alone. And again, this is the first game, which means that all future games have a fantastic soundtrack. Well, some soundtracks are better than others, but then it's just going back to the whole Sonic fan base where people cannot seem to agree on this one simple thing, you know? So yeah. But again, this is the nostalgic feeling I'm having right now of looking back into the past, going back to simpler times, you know? So, yeah. Now, I have not always been a Sonic fanboy, believe it or not. When I was growing up, I had the NES, Game Boy, and Super Nintendo. I would have to go to a friend's house so that I can play his Genesis and play some Sonic the Hedgehog. But I did watch the cartoons, both of them, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog, also known as Sad AM. And, it was also at that same friend's friend's house that I was introduced to the Archie comics. So, yeah, thank my best friend growing up for introducing me to the Archie comics, which I currently review to this day. There's that. Alright. You know, these, platforms with protruding spikes, they're not really that much of a threat. I mean, you can simply jump over those platforms and you'll be fine. I mean, you have to really be careful going through Marble Zone Act 3. I mean, enemy placement, booby traps here and there. It's just a matter of timing, really. And I know you want Sonic to be fast. You want him to speed up and boost or something. Well, again, Sonic hasn't always been about this boost to win aspect. I mean, sure, he can go fast, sure, he has attitude and such, but sometimes you just have to go slow. And this is also a platformer where you have to navigate your way without dying, you know? Alright. Now, coming up is a section that you have to be real careful. Now, we are going to an upper area of this room, and if you happen to fall down, well, you'll be going back down to a lower area in which you have to, well, get back to this area, and it takes a while, you know? I mean, there are enemies all around, gimmicks, platformers, spikes. Thankfully, these spikes don't kill you in one hit. Now, in Green Hill Zone, those spikes, if you land on those spikes, well, you die. Well, obviously you die with spikes, but there's this nice little spike glitch that if you, well, land on spikes, you die, regardless if you have rings or not. And that's not pleasant at all. Alright, anyway, we're approaching the boss area after we make it through this jump right here, which, I think it's ridiculous, personally. I know it's possible to get past it without getting hit, but I can never make it past here without losing some rings. So, make sure you have plenty of rings, and make sure you recover enough rings before, well, you get to right here. And right here is the boss of good old Marble Zone. And basically we have Eggman with this fire blaster, and he will go from platform to platform trying to burn, well, Sonic to the ground, along with fire popping up from the lava. I mean, this boss isn't too bad. I think it's even easier than the ball and chain boss myself. Of course, don't do what I did right here. Don't stay on this platform he's about to shoot. But thankfully, well, he's dead, and yeah. We just saved the animals of Marble Zone. Seals and lava. Do they mix? No! Anyway, I'll see you in part 2, folks.